Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from the ESL Open Pro Tour. Open Cup Europe number, I'm going to say 79. We got two of the, maybe not the best of the best, but certainly one of the best of the rest. Wow, that's needlessly insulting. A team kill match from some of the best and most entertaining in Europe. Let me introduce you to Cascade Esports Micro Terran. It is Sol. And in the bottom right-hand corner, Cascade Esports representation as well. Another one of the top Protoss with some alternative strategies he's brought out in the past. I'm not sure what he's doing today, but I'm eager to find out. It's GungFuBanda, which is just objectively a fun name. And very hard. What do we call it? I think Banda is how you shorten it. His given name was Banda, all right? GungFu was his title. After the Mothership Core was removed, a lot of Protoss got titles just to hold them over until they learned how to play the entire game again. And here we are. So both these players, well, honestly, I think Sol is more of a Clem-like Terran. And that would go for a lot of Terrans, but a very aggressive, micro-oriented, but not afraid to go for the third and play it out. But if he sees an opportunity, if he smells blood in the water, he's going to go for it. I haven't seen a Banda game in a while. He's constantly scraping that top 16 of Europe, which means on top of the fact, like, we don't see as many games from him, his opponents probably aren't playing him quite as often. And what is that? Is that a sentry first? Okay. Getting things started. There is a Reaper on the way, but a sentry first. Probably an option for hallucination. A sentry does technically beat a Reaper, but it's a little too close for comfort a lot of the time. Like, you're not... I guess technically, I'm pretty sure it beats a Reaper. Like, and the Reaper usually won't challenge it, especially if an Adept then pops out and suddenly the Reaper dies. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Just the sentry existing does give away a lack of tech. Right? There is a Twilight on the way, but having the sentry means you spent your first 100 gas. And now Sol's going to know that that is indeed not a real Phoenix. It is halluc. He isn't lost. Like and subscribe if you remember that reference. Oh, wow. Aren't we all getting old? I'm pretty sure both these players are nearly a decade younger than me, but at going on 70 here, that's not hard. Third command center from Sol. He's going to counter the seeming defensive strategy of GungFuBanda with a very solid amount of greed on his own end. A probe. Banda was looking for a third base himself, but a Hellion kind of just shows up. The scouting Hellion usually dives in looking for tech, but he did see a probe very much making overtures towards the third Nexus. Like, he was taking a third. He knows. So both sides here on Romance's side, which well known to be... Well, okay. Not exactly where I thought the force field was going to land, but a nice little mini block. You guys, think about collateral damage. Think about the emotional damage done to a probe that needs to clock in by 4 minutes and 20 seconds and clocks in at 4:23. How is it going to feed its probe family? All right. Gonna get half pay. Do probes get paid? Aren't probes robots? But they have feelings, like every mediocre sci-fi show tries to tell us. Because being like humans is apparently a good idea. That's always worked out so well for the humans. Well, we'll see in this Protoss versus Terran, which usually, many times, does not work well for the humans. So far, a passive game, but they're both eyeing each other. That we've got a lot of active scouting between the Adept getting into the main. I don't think Sol intended that. The Adept scouted the 3rd CC. Well, actually, the hallucinated Phoenix scouted the 3rd CC, not the Adept. The Adept confirms it's going to be a barracks follow-up. Blink is done, but it does appear to be one of those games where we fill out most of the tech tree before we actually get to fighting. Yes, there's Blink. Yes, there's a few Stalkers. No, they shouldn't do much damage. At best, a mild annoyance. Like waking up and finding out you didn't charge your phone kind of annoyance. Not a waking up and finding out that you did charge your phone, but it was stolen in your sleep by your estranged son, who you don't acknowledge, like Beyond doesn't acknowledge that Reapers still exist. I really need to stop playing into previous casts because they're going to be released as separate YouTube videos. So these recall back jokes don't work as well. But hopefully we upload the other one first, Jimmy. Otherwise people won't remember my jokes. And I crave for acknowledgement. Like and subscribe. Anyways, Blink Stalker's doing very little because they're pretty much only here to remind Sol that he can't move out without Blink Stalkers being there. One, Robo Bay. A scan shows no it shows the Colossus tippy-toeing around. That's most of the information. The most obvious observer in the world is going to scout all of this, as is the Adept. The Blink Stalkers blunk over the top. The SCV is surprisingly vulnerable. He'll be forced to retreat. This will not deter Sol from his attack. Recall back. No extended thermal lance. It looks like Sol's going to be able to just knock down the 4th. Yep, immediately canceled. Without thermal lance and 1-1, he's investing in a lot of upgrades, and they have yet to pay off. Attacking into this would most definitely be a mistake. He needs to keep those tanks and arms while thermal lances reach. And until that thermal lance extends, he can't go much further. Medevac drop, but Banda has some pretty great map vision here between pylons, observers, and he's warping in some zealots from the cheeky high ground pylon. Sol maintaining a loose contain. But a few charge lots into the 3rd have undercut a lot of Terran efforts in the past. And at the same time, Banda jumps on the army, looking to grab that 4th. The charge lots will be whittled down. Medevac drop looking for the 3rd. Armory about to finish and make this a lot more difficult. Widowmine's burrowing. Finds one shot. Armory just finished. No detection here. A lot of observers. He's got... well, he only has 2 observers out of the map. Sol continuing to zone the 4th. Banda, he will have a cannon, so I guess he'll be... well, it's going to be close on the Widowmines. Medevac drop into the main. Banda a little late on the reaction. He only saw it as it was dropping. Blink Stalkers coming in. Widowmines cleaned up before any more critical damage. The Warp Prism is heading across the map. The tanks left on their own. A classic mistake, and it looks like he may lose them because of it. Just something you hate to see it, unless you're the Protoss chasing the tanks, in which case you're like, aha! And an easy mistake to make, just one you really... a pretty glaring one, indeed. 4th command center knocked out. And Sol's going to be forced to rebuild it on the high ground. A taste of his own medicine here. Supplies pretty even. Upgrades heading towards +2 for both sides. Significant upgrade advantage for GungFuBanda in just about a minute, little under. Small medevac drop. Single medevac targeting probes. Banda actually only has 60 probes, which is not enough. Losing 7 probes here. On top of the fact he doesn't seem to have been building them very consistently. Down goes the medevac, the rest of the army heading out, but 10 probe losses. Bringing him to, well, Sol's going to have a significant economic lead. It looks like a few mules are active right now, based on that graph. Enhanced shockwaves, double Ruptors. And right now, Banda gonna be knocking on the door. He does really want to get damage done. He has to deny the 4th base. And honestly, while he has a 4th of his own, it's a bit of an awkward scenario because Sol has the army composition coming together, and he actually has more workers, though he might not realize it. So it is in his best interest to wait for the best unit composition possible, especially since Banda already has 2-2 and isn't starting 3-3. But you never want to give a Protoss the initiative, because things get a lot more difficult. Disruptor flung out, clips a few units, charge lots in the 3rd. The most dramatic and painful thorn in the side. Command center lands, picks up a little later than expected. The Stalkers might be able to take out the command center. A couple extra Vikings taken down. Charge lots still going to work. 9 SCVs slaughtered mercilessly. Scouting Ruptors through the mix here. Vikings finding good shots. Knock over a Colossus. Disruptors in the back line. Slam it. Slamming the point home. Colossi down. The fight is just a messy engagement. Sol doesn't have enough. It all kind of falls apart as the Disruptors really shouldn't have been allowed where they were. And Banda kind of smothers Sol's army. A messy one, but a pretty decisive win for GungFuBanda. And that brings us to match 2. A dramatic exchange, but Sol not really finding his footing there. Just stumbling into the fray. Game 2. We'll see if Sol finds a little more to work with. And that is why, even if it feels like you have a better economy, even if it feels like you've got a good spot, sitting back rarely favors a Terran. They benefit from getting the jump, like I'd say even more than the Protoss. But if Terran players can get into position and start the fight, they've got a lot better chance because they are in position to micro back, to land things like EMP, and to be preemptively negate disruptors. But when the Protoss forces the fight by doing charge lot counterattacks, or just getting up in your grill, well, that's why Banda, it works the same way on both sides of the map. Like, Banda was trying to zone out the tank push, because once the tank push gets in position to actually hit any of the infrastructure, that's when you kind of get forced into an awkward engagement down the ramp. But Sol wasn't able to really find it. Walling off the front, a pretty common trend nowadays. Banda finding himself. He's got options here. It wasn't a bad game. There were a couple awkward moments, but overall he kept map control. He never lost sight of the army, and never got caught off guard. The blank seemed to be a comfortable option for him. So on the other hand, and you kind of give up a lot of initiative, even if you think your opponent's not going to pressure you. If you go for 3 command centers, the 3rd command center isn't complementary. It does cost a lot of those minerals that would otherwise be units, or barracks or something like that. So the probe comes back. The Marine is there to guard it. Almost enough. Sol opting for a reactor. Is that for Hellions? He's not sending an SCV on the map. He is getting a second gas geyser, though, which means we might be looking at an armory mine drop. One of my personal favorites. One of my personal favorite builds is Widow Mines with an armory, and then just kind of go from there. And you hope those Widow Mines do well. And I'd say more often than not. Adept wandering out, a couple Marines. Adept just kind of giving free reign of the situation. You don't want to lose the Widowmine. You can't lose the Widowmine. Widowmine's a very important part of this whole deal. Sol has a lot of gas in the bank. Is it a lip? No. He's got the 2 gas pumping. Whoa, 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 whoa! What are you doing? Oh, this is not good. No, you can't let those in there. You gotta lock the door. Oh my. No, this was not worth it. Even if he kills both the Adepts, definitely not worth it. Like, losing that much time. He scouted the whole base. There's the armory. But one Adept recalled out. He knows what it is. Robo was started immediately upon seeing the double gas with the 111. So it's going to be blank. It looks like the Robo should have an observer by the time the armory is complete. It's going to be pretty thin, but the Widowmine drop will likely... It should do minimal damage. Of course, Widowmine drops always have the option to do game-ending damage. Like, you are one misclick away from those probes going the wrong direction for just enough time to lose the game. We will see, though. Observer started. He's following up with a Thor. I love it. We saw this a few times when armory mines were just starting out. Like before it used to take drilling claws. Widow mines have gone through a lot of changes, okay? When you grow up as a super annoying unit, you go through a lot of changes in your life. Just ask the Adept. But the current iteration of Widow Mines with the armory giving them the cloak post-firing. Oh my. Well. A retarget from Sol only manages to get 2 probes, a couple more in the main. They are incredibly annoying. But he's actually gonna just build the Thor. Okay. Thor is here. The medevac not here anymore. But I mean, he just built it. And now he has a Thor. And so this is in Squadron TD, so I mean, I think right now Sol is doing a Thor push without the Thor. He kind of, the SCVs are weird. Like, Banda has to be wondering why he just saw SCVs. The SCVs are obviously for some sort of, like, follow-up push. The Thor flank from the back, hammering the point home. Wow, that's happening. Okay, the medevac just kind of wanders into the Stalkers, unfortunately, and there goes a lot of the micro potential. He's just slamming into the battery. Thor's surprisingly effective against shield batteries. It does feel like there may be a couple too many Stalkers here. The Thor does a lot of damage, and the SCV crew gonna help out a lot. The Tacti boys can repair. It's just a Thor. And a handful of the boys right around those his ankles here. And I mean, the Thor takes a lot of damage. The SCV's not enough. 6 probes going down. Was there another mine drop, or were those just at the base? I guess they were just at the base. So that happened. The Thor doing... Was it enough? Well, it was dicey. But the mental victory of a Thor push actually doing something. Always important. 1 tank picked off, and now Banda will be taking map control, as that was a lot of stuff to lose against someone who has a near critical mass of... Whoa! Just Blancs in the main. But is it a Blanc? It looks like no, a solid Blanc there. And he will blink away as well. And that is the issue. You commit to a push with Blink Stalkers on the field, they can turn that into a dicey scenario where you have to defend your own main. In the blink of an eye and a couple Stalkers. So a long way off. His stim isn't finishing until past 8 minutes. Combat shields even further than that. He's got +1 attack. Banda is now getting the rest of his production. The gateway explosion in the main, adding on 5 more gates, bringing him to 9, 10 gateways. To complement, he's got charge, he's got +1 on the way, Templar Archives, Colossi, without Thermal Lance though. Another set of Tactiboys. Wait, no. No Tactiboys. Now Tactiboys. Or maybe just transferring to the 3rd. Is he going to take the hidden base? No. He doesn't need to. Banda doesn't need to take risks like that. Looks like maybe just a pylon over here. Sol is... I mean, he's sitting in his base with a bunch of siege tanks, adding on bunkers. There's not much else to be done here. He's going to pick up a singular medevac. 4th command center on the way. The one thing that Sol has going for him, though he might not realize it, it would be hard to scout at this point. There's only 1 forge, and it's only just finished up +1. So Sol is not going to be in a terrible spot with upgrades. But when it comes to map control, unit composition, and economy, well, mules are going to keep it together for a while. But as the 4th base kicks in for Banda, as he gets Archons mixed into the composition, as those 10 gates start warping in rounds of units, and hopefully Banda builds a few more pylons so he's not supply blocked, that is when things get a little more difficult. Oh well, that's a freebie. Yeah. The Marines kind of giving away their position by attacking that pylon, and now Banda looking to end things. More Templar being warped in. A game-ending amount of units. He's going to be going for the kill. Right now, Sol doesn't have much in the way of defenses. He was fortifying his 3rd. Snipes coming out onto the Zealots, and why not? The units out on the map will come back to try to defend. Banda losing a lot of the Zealots in the initial push. He can't afford to be particularly wasteful here, despite having that extra base. He doesn't have great upgrades, and he doesn't have a great army composition to fall back on. He doesn't have extended Thermal Lance, he doesn't have Storm, and he doesn't have much better upgrades. In fact, he's even, and he's about to be still even with +1 armor finishing across the board. So Banda can't just throw away Zealots like they're Zealots. He has to take care of them. Not until he gets at least, like, well, a few more probes, another base, or another better form of splash damage. Like, he's going down the rest of the tech tree right now. He's getting another Robo, he's getting a Stargate, he's getting a Dark Shrine. But Sol, despite being bruised on his 4th command center, a couple SCVs repairing it, is going to get 4 CCs. He's at 160 supply. He's looking... Well, watch out, watch out! Suddenly, when all look to be going pretty well, Banda jumps into the 3rd. He's also hitting the 4th, but this time, well... Wait, what's... the tank's in a weird position. We'll clean up the Zealot. There's gonna be Raptors coming out. The Dark Shrine is finishing up, adding a wrinkle to everything. The Dark Shrine always a bit awkward at this later stage. Sometimes Terrans just don't build turrets or rebuild turrets. And that can throw the game sideways, well, downhill for the Terran. And sometimes the DTs just are an expensive way to lose another dozen units. At this stage, I'm surprised we don't see DT blink. Is that a fleet beacon? Banda climbing the tech tree further. What is that even for? Carriers? I don't know. I mean, maybe? Are carriers the call? Maybe Tempest. I feel like Tempests are maybe a better call. But right now does not seem like the time for fleet beacon units. He's building another Stargate, so it indicates he wants more than just a mothership. But the fleet beacon is scanned, as is the Dark Shrine, the extended Thermal Lance. Sol scans everything building. He scans the fleet beacon, multiple stargates, the Dark Shrine Forge, and Robobay upgrading. So, Sol knows exactly what's happening. Carriers are a rich man's unit. Carriers are a unit you build when your opponent has, like, Mass Liberator, or is so heavy on, like, tanks that they don't have much anti-air. Carriers are not usually a unit you build against someone who has Ghost Viking. Like, Sol already has built in a solid counter to the carriers and the DTs. Well, what would you build? Usually you look for a 200 supply ground army and try to bludgeon the 4th. Well, while sending in counterattacks towards the main or the natural, so we'll see. And the fact that Sol scouted these, I mean, it may still work out. Banda might have the economy to just continue to throw things at Sol, but Storm Blink DTs +3, everything, +2 air attack. What are the ship weapons? Sol's only getting mech weapons upgrades, which does not apply to the Vikings here. It does apply to the tanks. How many tanks? 7 tanks. Ship weapons as well. He's got a second armory, disruptor shot, and exploratory nova. Hey, there's so much here. A wizard juggling flaming swords is Banda, where he has some of the most expensive and dangerous spellcasters for both sides, I might add. He's getting Storm, he's got the Ruptors, he's got to manage Carriers and Colossi, both of which are technically countered by Vikings. Sol loses a few there. Banda taking some more bases. Ghost Cloak on the way. Tempest joining the fray. +2 attack. What are we seeing over here? DTs, it looks like, blunked onto whatever was over there. The scan just incidentally finds the observer that's been spotting for half the game now. What a late game army composition. He's getting tectonic disruptors? Is that what it's? Destabilizers. I'm like, disruptors isn't right. Okay, if we weren't in the late game before, we are now. Fusion core, nuclear missile, multiple starports, a forward operating battery base, a FOB, if you would, as both sides continue to escalate their tech trees into upgrades. Almost like all we need now is the medevac speed upgrade and battlecruisers to complement the nukes alongside the full fleet beacon. But the Viking, there's really not that much direct air-to-air or anti-air. The charge lots trickling through one gatekeeper, the toll booth SCV actually helping out a ton. But the medevac-based army, oh, that was a terrible recall, but there's actually not that much anti-air. Nuclear missile is launched onto the 4th. Is it spotted? I'm pretty sure well, there's a scan. Does he see it? Is it going to... Okay. Observer speed. Mech plating. As I continue to remember what all these well, mech plating wasn't hard. +1 shields. The disruptor's coming in to defend the FOB. Where's my medevac speed upgrade? We also need smart servos to check off the entire bingo card. I want rapid reignition thrusters. When do I want them? Now. We want advanced ballistics. We want... There's one more. Oh, yeah. The ARMADA cannon. A few zealots make it into the main. Marines will chase them into the nostalgia field that is the main base, full of racks. He's actually adding on more, I'd imagine, for ghosts. Banda is going to reach out and grab a base by his FOB here. That's a lot of Vikings! A full Denmark of Vikings knocking down fleet beacon units, valuable carriers and Tempest in a single volley. The carrier, enough Vikings are taken out that it doesn't quite kill the carriers. Neo Steel Armor joins the full diversity quota cast of upgrades here. We've got +3 air attack. What Protoss upgrades don't we have? Did he get Warp Prism? He got Warp Prism and Observer Speed. We don't have Adept Claves. Or Flux Veins. More Robos on the way. We're starting to run out of units that haven't been built yet. The Vikings still looking for an opera. Oh, beautiful Storm! Storm, a historical and current counter to Vikings. Another Storm! Oh my god, terrible, terrible damage. They combined with their DT brethren. A nuclear missile just kind of thrown out there for good measure. The DT is following up for the High Templar in the unholy but at the same time, the Vikings find the Colossi, knock them down. The nuke will just kind of land. Yamato Cannon on the way. Yamato Cannon, a technical counter, especially when the Tempest count is so low. Tempest designed to counter battlecruisers, kind of, but enough Vikings will deal with the Tempest. But the battlecruiser's not nearly as vulnerable to storms. They can weather them. So we're gonna see battlecruisers. Whereas Banda still has a smorgasbord army composition. So who wins? Planetary Fortress. That's okay. Apparently the Templar win against the Planetary in some fashion or another. The Templar testing the Planetaries on both sides of the story. The Planetaries will hold. The Vikings catch the carriers unawares once again. Down goes another carrier. Carrier number 3, down for the count, losing so many expensive units as Banda. The fight starts to escalate. The splash damage nowhere to be seen as Sol shaves off a solid chunk of units. A healthy amount of the full army composition, but Sol himself is hurting for money. 13 Dark Templar being warped in. As Banda still somehow has minerals and gas in the bank. He's not shying away from these expensive choices. But are you really blinking back against this? Trying to repair. Not enough. Needle steel armor. Not enough. Disruptors overwhelming the defenses. Down goes one. The storms across the board also hitting Protoss units. The Tempest take it out. The Planetary underneath obliterated. The Vikings knocked from the skies. The supplies plummeting. Planetaries on the left and right flanks down for the count. The SCV count plummets to 42. Multiple nukes in production, but Sol is battered down to 86 army supply and 45 SCVs. Banda reinforcing. He's targeting the fusion core with his disruptors. The Archons can take a Yamato cannon, which is a little ridiculous. He has to double tap them. Archon's so beefy they can take a Yamato. Wow. Sol trying desperately to reestablish his position. Banda not too far away from ripping it away from him. The thing is, Sol still has the core of a solid army. He still has ghosts, battlecruisers, and bio. Oh, the jump! He jumps right on top! I don't think there are enough stalkers to deal with this. Yamato cannon knocks away a disruptor. The blink stalkers aren't enough. More Tempest in production. The Zealot's gonna find a few of the precious little SCVs. How's the mining been going? Not great for Sol. He's struggling out there. The speed observer chasing down the army. He's looking for whatever he can find. Banda has been mining pretty comfortably from that left flank. He's gotten all the bases along the left side of the map, including, very importantly, the rich Vespine base. The nukes! A defensive nuke! There's no way Banda doesn't see it. He's fishing for the ghost. He comes up empty. And that means he has to back off temporarily. Another nuke. He's looking... Wait, where is even the ghost? I don't think Banda's going to find this one. He's not looking for it. At the same time, though, he's going to jump on a very valuable base. Yamato cannons at the same time. The nuke knocks out 9 probes, which, you know, really doesn't seem like that much because it isn't. The Bio Army tries to get some damage done at one of the extraneous bases. It's not enough. The splash damage getting knocked out. Storms across the bow. The battle cruisers are the only ones left at the end. A single ghost. The ghost, very brave, very bold, and now very dead. Banda down to 130 supply. He actually lost a lot of his army. A full battalion of zealots warped in to defend against the Bio. They will easily surround. A few will be left behind. Banda went from 130 to 182 supply in about 10 seconds. The fusion core burns. Sol doesn't even really have the minerals to repair it. Oh no. He has 1 battle cruiser. The fusion will burn. No! Maybe for the better. Maybe that won't bait him into building battle cruisers anymore. Banda... kind of awkwardly now has a whole lot of Tempests, which are not that great against a Bio Army. 5 medevacs being produced for almost a pure Bio Army out of Seoul. His main command center hasn't been lifted yet, but it's getting there. Like, where do you attack? You can't recall your army as Seoul. He's barely mining. He's got 1 1/4 bases. Banda's actually mined out of 3 or 4. I mean, I guess you just hope he messes up the recall. It's really all you can do now. You hope for incredible EMPs. Because Banda's big weakness is his army supply is so low. Oh, he recalls into the main. There's a couple storms. Oh, wow. Oh, the battle cruiser! Obliterated before it can get its Yamato cannon off. The EMP is not enough. Banda down 100 supply. And I'm sorry. Seoul down 100 supply. And Seoul knocked out. As at the end of the day, a battle cruiser's not enough. The ghost not enough. Banda grabbed hold of the map and he kept it. And Banda will grab hold of a victory. 2-0, he takes it home. An exciting game. Exciting to see all those units on the board. I would have liked to see the battle cruisers find a little bit more of an opportunity, but Banda had so much. He didn't need to fight efficiently. He didn't need to have cost efficiency. He just had to have efficiency at all. And he wins the war of attrition. He wins the series. Congratulations to Banda. Thank you for watching the ESL Pro Tour. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Who do you want to see that maybe isn't in every single series cure? One of those slightly lesser known players that have some of the more exciting and dynamic games. Leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.